This free e-learning is on the great or the successful salesperson. A great or successful salesperson has several attributes. One of them is their knowledge, and they tend to know a hell of a lot about business. They understand how businesses work, income, depreciation, accounts payable, receivable. They understand the costs of goods in a supply chain. They understand markup and hiring and terminating employees. They understand facilities costs and asset and infrastructure costs. It's a heck of a lot to understand when some of us may not have an MBA, but it is something that we can all learn so that we become more fluent as business people and can then engage our prospects as business people. Great sales folks also know customer stories. They know the individual businesses and the individuals in organizations where their products and services have been successful and where they haven't been, so that they can give a well-spoken, even-sided analysis of how their products and services do or do not fit into an organization. They understand their products and services in some detail too. Now, not every salesperson will be as proficient as maybe an implementer of the products or services or a pre-sales person, a sales engineer, we call them. But they will, in fact, understand more than the basics, and they will be able to do a product demo if necessary. That fluency with the product enables them to be credible. They also understand personally what makes them themselves potent, what makes them themselves important or special, why they, as an individual salesperson, are better than all the other salespeople out there. Of course, if you're not, you need to become better, or else you're not going to get any business. You need to stand out, and that standing out generally is because of the knowledge and the skills, your communication and enthusiasm that you possess. Speaking of skills, great successful salespeople are organized, prepared, and they know how to prioritize. Not everything in your quarter or your month or your week or your day are worth spending time on. You need to know where to prioritize, and you need to be prepared versus winging it, as so many salespeople do. And you need what, frankly, I'm not great at, which is organization. You need to be very well organized. Communication is probably the biggest thing we all need to work on. We don't understand precisely how to listen, how to make sense of what we're hearing, how to write great communication or speak very well. This is a perishable skill that requires lifelong investment in, such that you can develop that skill. There's nothing like an amazing communicator. They're truly outstanding, and they are generally very successful at all that they do. Their communication skills allow them to connect with people in a manner that many of us simply can't do. And great and successful salespeople, make no mistake, it's about the connection you build with someone. It's not about your product, your service, your pricing, any of that. It's about how well you can connect with someone and be trustworthy. Now, good salespeople also know how to challenge and lead people. Challenging them might mean to interrupt their way of thinking or feeling and introduce new ideas or new concepts. Lead them from here to here. This is current state. I want to take you to future state. Trust me, we're going to take that walk across the bridge, that bridge of vulnerability and uncertainty, and I got you. We're going to get to this place over here. They also know how to focus people. A lot of times, the people you're selling to have loads of initiatives, and it is difficult for them to focus and prioritize. A great sales rep has tools and instruments. They have tactics to enable them to help a prospect focus on what the most important need might be, and that should be your service and product that you're selling. Now, great sales folks also are naturally curious. If today you find you're not a naturally curious person, I encourage you to find a new profession. You're almost certainly not going to be a successful sales or pre-sales person. Natural curiosity is it's the absolute core of the DNA for a great salesperson that is successful. These are people that are problem solvers. They don't have opinions about things. They research answers to things, questions, issues, topics, and then they present that. Natural curiosity will take you far in life. This also enables you to see the picture in different perspectives, the perspective of the macro and the micro, the big and the small, thinking, as they say, outside the box. That's what a great successful salesperson can do. You have to be resourceful as well. You need to marshal resources such that whatever it takes to make your prospect successful, he or she believes you will do. That means you got to be connected. You have to make friends. You need to know where to go. You need to understand the infrastructure of the business that you work in so that you can capitalize on communication tools, assets, individuals to help you be successful with the prospect. And at times you need to focus because you have to do all sorts of things. You got to keep your CRM up to date. You got to take training classes. You still have a family and social life. You got to make sure you understand the pricing and packaging. And it's a lot to do. So you got to focus your time throughout the day, week, month, and quarter, and year, such that you're able to get everything done. Charisma it's a tough one to learn, but it is absolutely vital to a successful salesperson. I wouldn't say it is imperative, but I do think it's vital. A great salesperson has a natural gravitas to them. They have a charisma that makes people connect with them and want to connect with them. And let's face it, I mean, we can all count on probably two hands the amount of charismatic people we've met in our lifetimes, or maybe even have seen in media. There's not a lot of them out there, but you need to be one. And you need to generate the skills to become one, because it is a skills-based pursuit. Part of being charismatic is being friendly. It's being amicable. It's being more generous and beneficent than selfish or egoistic. Get your damn ego out of the way. You're in it to help that prospect win. You care about him. You're curious about him. You're trustworthy. If you're none of these things, you got to pick a new profession. And as a problem solver, which is what salespeople truly are, there needs to be a balance of creativity and analytical skills. Critical and creative thinking is the hallmark of an individual who can approach a problem, a business problem, and proffer solutions that have different costs to them, different benefits to them, but ultimately they can tease away all of the extraneous detail and get to the heart of the matter. It's great and successful salespeople. Proud and passionate is probably two of my key hallmarks. When I'm hiring individuals, this is what I really look for. Someone who's proud, typically, and I don't mean in a biblically egoistic way, but someone who's proud is someone who will not underperform. It just isn't part of their DNA to not be successful. And those people that are passionate, or that can find passion and energy and drive and motivation in what they do, well, then their motivation problem is solved. So pride and passion are two great characteristics of great sales folks. Now, great sales folks also manifest an amazing sales story. A sales story was historically called an elevator pitch. No one was selling in elevators, so we call it a sales story now. It is your greatest sales asset, your sales story. It is not the value proposition on your product marketing slides, and it is not some rehearsed line from your website or from a YouTube video. You generate a sales story, and it should be a full page long from which you can articulate that full page, or just an excerpt of it, maybe a couple of sentences, depending on the need and what's warranted at that time. Your sales story should be phenomenal. Great sales reps know how to ask good questions. We talked about their ability to communicate. They also know how to do great discovery calls. Discovery calls, really, it's about what matters to a prospect and how much does it matter. That's what we want to find out. Differentiating yourself is really tough because there's thousands of sales reps and they all go through a measure or a modicum of training. Some of them are naturally or innately more capable than others. But you need to be able to differentiate yourself, because it's not just about your product and pricing. It's about you and your delivery. If you don't offer value to your organization, to your peers, to your prospects, to your friends and family, well, then no one's going to buy from you. I mean, you're either the type of person that is able to have value and give that value and be recognized as a contributor, or you are not. And if you are not, selling is probably not going to be the most lucrative or satisfying of professions for you. A sales plan is everything, especially with a large deal. If you're not doing territory and account planning and finding out the data about your ideal customer profile and what matters to them, then you're shooting darts. I mean, a lot of what we call outbounding today is largely just gambling. It's a roll of a dice in hopes that someone needs what you're advertising. That's not a plan. A plan is something that has contingencies. It has a logic and a flow to it. You understand the motivations of those you are prospecting into and what you offer them that no other vendor can provide for them. A great sales rep also is loyal and committed to their prospect. They are dedicated. They will stick around. They're not just there for the sale. They're there for the long haul. They're going to send a Christmas card. They're going to send swag. It is part of what we do. And there's a natural give and take. If, as a sales rep, I'm giving you a product demonstration or a business case justification or an ROI, I'm going to ask for something in return. There needs to be a balance in any relationship, lest we build resentment. Reciprocity is key. So give and take is key as well. What can you do to generate some of these things? Here's a few tactics. Number one is you should take a look at your own repository of case studies and customer stories and understand at least 4 of them verbatim. You should be able to quote statistics and names and understand the use case that you've satisfied, such that you become the beginnings of someone who can create narratives that make your prospect be moved. Record yourself on things like Zoom or Microsoft Teams or whatever, on audio. Listen to yourself. Figure out what's wrong, because there's something wrong. What's wrong with the way you present? How can you develop a vocabulary that enables you to be more succinct and articulate? Let's face it, the better speaker, the better person with questions, the person who asks better questions, the person who can articulate their position better will generally win more times than not. Because as humans, that's how we get taking in information. And we always assign a qualitative value to information, to data. That qualitative value is a feeling, it's an emotion. And if you're not a likable person, and your presentation skills and communications tools don't instill that likability or trustworthiness, you're in for a huge problem and suffering from a tremendous deficit. If you practice listening to significant others and friends, you're going to be far better equipped to do good discovery and negotiation and qualification. By practice listening, I mean reiterate what they say, talk about what they feel. Take our communications class that we offer at our consulting company. We talked about knowing a sales story. Well, write it out and practice it forever and ever and ever. Keep practicing your sales story and refining it. Give it to your manager, give it to your peers, give it to your significant other and your friends. Most likely you don't sell anything so sophisticated or advanced that a teenager couldn't understand it. And if they don't understand you, then you probably need to revisit how you've structured it and what you're articulating. Be proficient with what makes you valuable. If you can't stand up in front of that mirror or your manager and define what makes you a talented, valued member of the team, then you need to develop more skills or dig deeper into understanding yourself better. Lastly, learn more about people and more about business. There's always more to learn about people and business. There's hundreds of good books. There's thousands of bad books on both people and business, and you need to sift through them. But if you can understand human psychology to some degree and how businesses survive and fail, especially in today's economy, then you've got a definite leg up. Thank you for joining us for this brief training. I wish you well.